This is Ty Walls with the Virginia Tech Minority Report within the Asian American community and United States military. We spoke to Professor Joe Ra and a Virginia Tech student, Dylan Heskett, about the struggles of discrimination within the United States community during military conflicts. What kind of prejudices do you think arose after the Vietnam or Korean War?
I think it was intensified as a result of that. They were referred to as GOOK, gooks. Some of you probably know that term. It comes from Korean War when Korea is called Hanguk. Han means one nation. And, so they truncated that and they kept on calling Koreans as gooks. And that's where the word originates from. And as a result of Asians largely emerging as enemies rather than as compatriots, the prejudice increased, at least internally. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, definitely. During World War II, Japanese Americans already in the service were kicked out of the military and joined the 120,000 Japanese Americans who were involuntarily removed from their homes. These Japanese Americans were placed in 10 U.S. Army guarded camps located in America's wasteland. In September 1942, the draft board reclassified these Japanese American soldiers as 4C, meaning that they were enemy aliens and unfit for draft and unwanted by the U.S. military. Yet in November 1942, there was a recruitment team that came from the Army Military Intelligence looking for the volunteers to fight against Japan. Even though the Japanese were considered enemies to the United States during World War II, they were not the only Asians discriminated against by the United States. Anyone who looked like they were from an Asian descent had a very high chance of being discriminated against. This was also true during the Korean War and the Vietnam War. It was distinctly obvious Korean Americans and Vietnamese Americans were extremely discriminated against by the United States. Similarly to the Japanese Americans during World War II, the Vietnamese and Koreans were not the only Asians that were discriminated against in the United States. Do you feel like your parents maybe have been discriminated against?
My mom is not Asian, but my dad, he's half Asian, and he has gotten like racial slurs before, but I mean, it hasn't been like too bad or anything.
And what about you?
I've gotten some racial slurs before, but same thing. It hasn't really been a big issue with me or anything.
And do you feel that these past conflicts still affect the way that you're perceived today?
No, not really. I mean, some people I don't know. Some people just have different perspectives on different Asian people, because I mean, you know how North Korea is doing all that crazy stuff over there, and they just think all Asians are, bad and all that, but I don't know.
Although tensions were high during the time of war between the United States and Asian countries, many prejudices and racial tensions have subsided in the United States. There are now peaceful alliances between the United States and many Asian countries. Through these alliances, it has allowed much tension and hatred to dissipate. This is Ty Walls signing off.